There are places on Earth that disappear from maps, places that are removed from records, places that people claim never existed. But what happens when hundreds of years of evidence says something different? Deep in the middle of the ocean, there are stories of an island that appeared, disappeared, and returned without explanation. An island with abandoned buildings. An island with lost signals. An island that some explorers claim to have reached, but nobody could ever find again. The mystery became known as the Vanished Island. For decades, sailors reported seeing a strange landmass covered in fog. They described the same details: dark cliffs, a broken lighthouse, and a strange silence that surrounded the island. But when other ships reached the same location, there was nothing, only endless ocean. No island, no rocks, no signs that anything had ever existed. At first, people believed these were just sailor stories, a mistake caused by storms, a hallucination caused by exhaustion. But then something strange was discovered. An old navigation journal from a forgotten expedition. Inside the damaged pages were drawings of an island, the same island described by sailors years later. The journal contained coordinates that pointed to a location where no island appeared on modern maps. The handwriting inside the journal described something even stranger. The explorer wrote that they had reached the island. They had walked on its land. They had seen buildings. But the final pages were damaged. The last readable sentence said, "We found the island, but the island was not supposed to be there." Nobody knew what that meant. Was it a hidden island? A mistake in history? Or something that disappeared before the world could understand it? Years later, researchers began investigating the forgotten coordinates. They discovered old reports from different time periods, different sailors, different countries. But every story had the same pattern: a mysterious island, a strange fog, and a disappearance. The biggest question was not how the island vanished. The biggest question was, how did so many people describe the exact same place if it never existed? The search for the vanished island was about to begin, and the first expedition would uncover something that would make the mystery even darker. Because, according to the old journal, someone was still living there. The search for the vanished island began with a simple mission: find the location, confirm if the stories were real, and finally, solve one of the ocean's strangest mysteries. A small research team followed the coordinates found inside the old journal. For weeks, they traveled across empty waters. At first, everything seemed normal. The ocean was calm. The equipment worked perfectly. The coordinates showed they were getting closer. But then the problems started. The compass began showing different directions. The radio signals became filled with strange interference. The weather changed without warning. A clear sky became covered by a massive storm within minutes. The crew believed they were entering a dangerous weather system. But then something appeared through the fog. An island. The same island from the old journal. The team could not believe what they were seeing. A place that was not on any map was standing directly in front of them. The coastline looked ancient. Huge cliffs surrounded the island, and on the highest point stood a damaged lighthouse. A lighthouse that appeared to have been abandoned for decades. They moved closer. The closer they got, the stranger everything became. There were no birds, no animals, no signs of normal life. The island was completely silent. When they reached the shore, they found something impossible. Footprints, fresh footprints. Someone had recently walked across the beach, but there was no person anywhere nearby. The team followed the tracks toward the abandoned settlement. Inside the first building, they discovered old furniture, broken machines, and documents left behind. It looked like people had lived there, but they did not leave normally. Everything suggested they had escaped quickly. Food was still inside containers. Personal belongings were still on tables. Doors were left open. It looked like everyone disappeared at the exact same moment. Then the team discovered the first major clue, a recording device hidden inside one of the buildings. The last recorded message was from someone who lived on the island. The voice was scared. The person said, "The island is changing." Then the recording ended. The team realized something. The island was not abandoned because people left. People left because something happened. Something they were afraid of. And whatever happened here was the reason the island disappeared from the world. The deeper the team explored the island, the more questions appeared. The settlement was unlike anything they expected. It was not a temporary camp. It was a complete community. There were homes, research buildings, storage rooms, and records showing people had lived there for years. But every room told the same story. A sudden escape. A moment of panic. A disappearance. The investigators searched through old documents. They found names, dates, and reports about strange events happening around the island. People wrote about unusual lights appearing over the ocean. They described strange sounds coming from beneath the ground. And they mentioned that the island itself seemed different every day. Some buildings appeared older. Some areas looked completely new. It was as if time was not moving normally. But the strangest discovery came from a hidden room. Inside was a wall covered with markings. Hundreds of symbols were carved into the stone. Nobody knew who created them or what they meant. Near the wall was a message written by the last people on the island. It said, "We came here searching for answers. Now we are trying to escape them." The team began comparing the evidence. The island was not just missing from maps. It seemed like the island was hiding itself. But why? What could make an entire place disappear? Then they found a map showing something underneath the island. A massive underground structure. A place that was never mentioned in any record. The entrance was hidden beneath the old lighthouse. And inside that underground area, they discovered the reason the island was abandoned. A discovery that would change the entire investigation. Beneath the abandoned lighthouse, the team found a hidden entrance. It was not a natural cave. It was a carefully built structure. A massive underground passage leading deep below the island. The walls were covered with the same strange symbols found in the settlement. But this time, the symbols were not random. They appeared to be instructions, warnings, or maybe a message. The team entered the underground tunnels. The deeper they went, the older everything became. The technology inside was confusing. Some equipment looked modern. Other objects looked hundreds of years old. It was impossible to understand who built this place or when it was created. Then they discovered a large underground chamber. Inside the chamber were hundreds of documents, research files, maps, and recordings from the people who lived on the island. The files revealed something disturbing. The island was not discovered by accident. The first explorers came there because they were searching for something hidden beneath the land, something that had been protected for generations. The researchers believed the island contained a secret that could change human history, but their experiments created unexpected results. The recordings described strange events, people losing track of time, objects appearing in different locations, and moments where entire areas of the island seemed to change. One researcher wrote, "We are not studying the island anymore. The island is studying us." The team became more cautious. They started noticing things themselves. A hallway they had already explored appeared longer the second time. A door they had closed was suddenly open. Equipment they left behind was moved. Someone, or something, was still active inside the island. Then they found the most important discovery. A final recording from the original expedition. The explorer from the old journal was alive. The same person who supposedly disappeared decades ago. His voice sounded older, confused, terrified. He said, "If you found this message, You made the same mistake we did. The island does not disappear. It chooses when it can be found." The recording ended. The team realized the mystery was much bigger than a lost island. This was not a place that vanished. It was a place that appeared only when it wanted to. But the biggest question remained. Why was the island allowing them to see it now? And what happened to everyone who came before them? The answer was hidden in the final records. Records that revealed the dark incident behind the island's disappearance. The final records from the underground chamber revealed the truth about the people who lived on the vanished island. They were not ordinary settlers. They were researchers, explorers, and historians from different generations who came searching for the same mystery. The island attracted people who wanted answers. But every group discovered the same thing. The island was not a normal place. The first reports described strange events happening after sunset. Lights appearing beneath the ocean, sounds coming from underground, and areas of the island changing without explanation. At first, the researchers believed these were natural events. They thought the island had unusual geological activity, but the evidence showed something else. The changes were connected to the underground structure. The researchers created experiments to understand it. They wanted to discover why the island appeared and disappeared. But something went wrong. The recordings from that night were incomplete. Only fragments remained. A researcher could be heard saying, "The readings are impossible. Something is happening to the island." Then another voice shouted, "Everyone needs to leave now." After that, silence. The team searched through every file. They found different explanations. Some documents claimed a massive energy event caused the disappearance. Others suggested the island entered a state where it could no longer be detected. But one final report was the most disturbing. It claimed the island did not disappear because of an accident. It disappeared because the people on it tried to control something they did not understand. The report mentioned a final experiment, an experiment that caused the entire island to vanish from the world. But if that was true, how was the island standing in front of them now? The team began questioning everything. Was this the same island? Was time moving differently here? Or had the island returned because someone had activated it again? Then they discovered another shocking detail. The last group of researchers did not disappear. They escaped, but they never returned home. They left behind a message warning future explorers. The message contained only one sentence: "Do not stay until the island disappears." The team looked outside. The ocean was changing. The fog that surrounded the island was becoming thicker. The radio signals were fading, and the island was beginning to disappear again. They had arrived at the same moment every previous explorer feared. The island was preparing to vanish. And this time, they were trapped inside. The team realized they were running out of time. The same event that destroyed the previous expeditions was happening again. The island was changing. The air became heavier. The ocean around the coastline started moving in a strange pattern. The radio equipment that once worked perfectly began losing connection. The researchers rushed back through the underground tunnels. They wanted answers. But more importantly, they wanted to escape. Inside the hidden chamber, they discovered one final recording. It was created by the last group of people who lived on the island. The recording showed panic, people running, documents being destroyed, equipment being abandoned. The researchers were not preparing for an experiment. They were preparing for something they could not stop. A voice in the recording explained, "The island does not vanish randomly. It follows a cycle. Every time it appears, it collects information. Every time it disappears, something changes." The team struggled to understand what that meant. Was the island alive? Was it a natural phenomenon? Or was it something created by an unknown force? Then the recording revealed the final moments before the island vanished years ago. The sky turned black. A powerful storm surrounded the island. Every electronic device stopped working. And for a few minutes, the entire island disappeared. Not slowly, not gradually, instantly. Ships near the area reported seeing nothing but empty ocean. But the strange part was this. The people on the island did not experience the same event. According to the records, only minutes passed for them. But years passed outside. The island was not just disappearing. It was separating itself from normal time. The team finally understood the impossible truth. The vanished island was not lost. It was trapped between moments. A place that existed, but not always at the same time. Then the final warning appeared on the screen. A message written by someone who escaped before. It said, "When the island returns, it always brings something back." The team looked around the chamber. They noticed something they had missed before. There were new footprints inside the underground facility, but they were not theirs. Someone else was on the island. Someone who arrived before them. The storm outside became stronger. The island began disappearing. And now the team had one choice: escape before the island vanished, or discover who else was trapped there. The team escaped the underground chamber and returned to the surface. But the island they saw was no longer the same. Buildings had changed. Paths were different. Places they remembered were gone. It felt like the island itself was rewriting its own history. The investigators collected every piece of evidence they could find. The journals, the recordings, the maps, the strange underground structure. But every answer created another question. Soon, different theories began to appear. The first theory was the simplest. A natural disaster. Some researchers believed the island was located in an unstable region of the ocean. They suggested unusual weather, earthquakes, and ocean activity caused people to lose track of its location. But this theory had problems. A natural disaster could explain damage. It could explain storms, but it could not explain why the island appeared in different time periods. It could not explain the missing years. And it could not explain the messages recorded by people who disappeared decades earlier. The second theory was a hidden experiment. Some believed the underground structure was created by a secret organization. The island was being used for research. The strange energy events were caused by advanced technology. But again, there were problems. The symbols inside the tunnels were much older than modern technology. The island's secrets existed long before any known experiment. The third theory was the most controversial, a time anomaly. Some believed the island existed in a place where time moved differently, a location between the past and the present, a place where moments could overlap. This theory explained why explorers from different centuries found the same island. It explained why old recordings still existed and why people could disappear without aging. But it created an even bigger mystery. Who created this anomaly? And why? The final theory was the darkest. The island was not a location. It was a system. A place that appeared when it needed to be found. A place that selected people who searched for it. The evidence seemed impossible. But every theory had one thing in common. They all agreed on one fact. The vanished island was real. The question was no longer, does the island exist? The question became, what is the island? As the storm grew stronger, the team discovered one final clue. A new signal appeared on their equipment. A signal coming from somewhere on the island. The message was short, only a few words, but it changed everything. The voice on the recording said, "We have been waiting for you." The team realized something terrifying. They were not the first people to return to the island. Someone was already there, and they wanted to be found. The mysterious signal continued repeating through the radio. "We have been waiting for you." The team searched the area where the signal was coming from. But every time they moved closer, the signal changed location. It was as if whoever sent it knew exactly where they were. They followed the transmission deep into the abandoned settlement. There, they discovered something impossible. A building that was not there before. It looked ancient from the outside. But inside, everything was new. Working computers, fresh documents, and recordings created only days earlier. The team realized the island was not just preserving the past. It was creating new events. Someone had been living there. They searched the building and found a collection of files. The files belonged to explorers who disappeared throughout history, people who were believed to be lost forever. But the record showed something different. They had all reached the island. They had all discovered the same secrets. And they had all left messages behind. The final file was the most disturbing. It contained a video recording. The person in the video claimed to be from an expedition that arrived years ago. But according to the date on the recording, the expedition had not happened yet. The team watched the message in silence. The person looked directly into the camera. They said, "If you are watching this, the island has chosen you. The same thing happened to us. We thought we were discovering the island. But the truth is, the island discovered us." The video ended. The team began questioning their entire mission. Had they found the island? Or had the island brought them there? Then they noticed something in the background of the video. A person standing behind the speaker, a person who looked exactly like one of their own team members. But that person had never been there before. The discovery created panic. The island was not only changing locations, it was changing events, maybe even changing people. Outside, the storm became stronger. The fog surrounded the entire island. The same signs from previous disappearances appeared again. The island was preparing to vanish. But this time, the team had one advantage. They knew what was coming. They rushed toward the escape route. But before they reached the shore, they found one final location, a hidden chamber beneath the island. Inside was the answer they had been searching for. The original purpose of the vanished island, and the truth behind why it always returns. The hidden chamber beneath the island was unlike anything the team had seen before. It was older than the settlement, older than the underground tunnels, older than every record they had discovered. At the center of the chamber was a massive structure covered with the same symbols found across the island. But this time, the symbols were arranged like a map. Not a map of the island, a map of time. The team studied the markings and began connecting the clues. The island was never meant to be found by normal exploration. It appeared during rare moments when something changed around it. A storm, a signal, a disturbance. The island was a place where different moments could meet. That explained the impossible discoveries. Old recordings, future messages, missing explorers, people who vanished without aging. The island was not moving through the ocean. It was moving through time. But one mystery remained. Why did people keep finding it? The team discovered the answer in the final journal. The original explorer wrote that the island was not calling everyone. It was only appearing to those searching for something hidden. Knowledge. Answers. The truth. The island was attracting curious minds. But every person who entered became part of its mystery. Then they found the last message recorded by the first expedition. The explorer who discovered the island wrote, "We came here looking for a lost place, but we found something much bigger. We found a place where the past and future exist together. But every answer has a price." The team finally understood what happened to all the missing explorers. They were not killed. They were not lost. They were trapped between moments, existing somewhere outside normal time. Then the island started changing again. The chamber began shaking. The symbols on the walls started glowing. The storm above became louder. The island was preparing for another disappearance. The team rushed back toward the shore. But before leaving, they noticed one final detail. A new message had appeared on the wall. A message that was not there before. It said, "The island will return. But next time, someone must bring it back." The team escaped moments before the island disappeared. When the fog cleared, the ocean was empty. No island. No ruins. No evidence. Only their recordings remained. But one question was impossible to answer. If the island vanished again, How did their cameras record everything? And why did one final image appear on their equipment? An image showing the island before they ever found it. The expedition returned with evidence that should have changed history. They had recordings, images, documents, and proof that the vanished island existed. But when they showed their discoveries to the world, something strange happened. The files were damaged. The recordings became unreadable. The coordinates no longer matched. And the images of the island slowly became corrupted. Within months, almost all evidence disappeared. It was as if the island was removing every trace of itself. Only a few pieces remained. The old journal, the final recordings, and the memories of those who were there. Researchers tried to explain what happened. Some believe the island was a rare natural phenomenon, a place affected by unknown forces beneath the ocean. Others believe the island was connected to time itself, a location where different moments could overlap. And some believe the island was something created long ago, something humans were never supposed to discover. But no theory could explain everything. Why did the island choose certain people? Why did it appear only at certain moments? Why did missing explorers leave messages from the future? And the biggest question remained, where was the island now? Years after the expedition, a strange signal was detected from the middle of the ocean. A weak transmission, a voice, a message. The recording was only a few seconds long, but the words were clear. We are still here. The signal disappeared before anyone could locate its source. No ship found anything. No satellite detected land. No map showed an island. But somewhere beneath the endless ocean, the mystery continued. Because the vanished island was never truly lost. It was waiting for the next person to search for it. And if the old records are correct, the island does not appear when someone finds it. The island appears when it wants to be found.